we will have Joshua in our country in February. Then there is the big fight, one of the greats.
The world, like, you can't sit around and wait for Fury. The Usyk fight is not materializing, and I don't think any fans want to see that. So, in a way, this could be Joshua's final fight or final meaningful fight. It's going to happen in 5 weeks.
That there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity.
Turki Alalshikh has called out Anthony Joshua for even weighing a showdown with Jake Paul, framing it as a puzzling move. He hinted at plans for one of the biggest boxing events this coming February starring Joshua, though he kept the rival's name hidden. Maybe Tyson Fury, maybe not. Alalshikh stayed silent, letting excitement build. He added that Joshua already has a 2026 fight booked, revealing the strategy shaping this possible matchup.
And Anthony Joshua this year, do you think?
As a fan, of course, I want to see it.
Do you personally want to see it?
Yeah, as a fan, but you need first of all to be sure they are focusing.
Eddie Hearn, who has steered Joshua's career for years, speaks about it with a blend of hope and restraint. He insists that every major move involving Joshua must fit the careful blueprint he shares with Turki Alalshikh, the powerful figure who has transformed the world of boxing. Hearn views Alalshikh as the force capable of unlocking massive events, including the long-awaited clash between Joshua and Tyson Fury. To him, each step Joshua makes should follow a bigger purpose, not drift into some detour sparked by social media noise. And while Hearn doesn't ignore the financial pull of a Joshua-Paul matchup, he stresses that real business demands sharp coordination, not sudden spotlight-seeking and steady judgment.
You know, I mean, when this fight was first mentioned by Jake Paul, I kind of laughed and thought that'd be nice, wouldn't it? And then, you know, meetings with His Excellency last week, who I think realises the commercial size of that fight and that opportunity. So if Jake Paul was mad enough to do it, I think Anthony would probably say yes as well and do everybody a favour and end it all, you know, for Mr. Paul in boxing. So, like I said, not really a fight we've been targeting, but if it's presented to...
John Fury, never one to hold back, scoffs at the notion that Jake Paul could ever beat Anthony Joshua under real, fair conditions. To him, the size and power gap is so massive that any result leaning Paul's way would instantly feel questionable. Fury argues that Joshua's sheer strength and physical presence are defining advantages, and he cautions that if things end in an unexpected twist, fans would be justified in doubting the event's legitimacy. His words echo a deeper worry shared by longtime purists. Boxing's reputation is delicate, and these crossover spectacles must be handled with care to keep the sport's integrity intact.
Work. They can't. Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his dick. So if it goes any other way, you know...
You give me a headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's fucking fixed, don't you? I know.
The conversation grows even sharper when voices outside the usual boxing circle step in. Jamie O'Hara, famous for his no-nonsense commentary, questions why Jake Paul should be anywhere near a ring with Anthony Joshua. In his eyes, Paul's achievements, impressive for someone who started as a celebrity, still fall far short of the standard needed to face a former heavyweight champion at the highest level. To O'Hara, the very idea of this fight shows how clout, online influence, and showmanship are starting to outweigh true merit and proper ranking.
This one, because Anthony Joshua is a two-time world champion. Jake Paul's a YouTuber and doesn't deserve the right to be in a ring with Anthony
Well, don't buy the fight then.
It's dangerous. I think it's a dangerous fight. We saw what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. This is a fight.
I know, but what I'm
People
saying
are going in there, their health is at risk.
But the only reason they're doing
put someone
it...
in there in a ring...
I know, Jay.
And you say, the only reason we're doing it is for money. That don't sit right with me.
Fine, then don't buy it.
We've seen boxers die who got punched in the face. Fine. You want to make some money. Eddie Hearn, all that matchroom, they're going to make a fortune, right? Fine. Jake Paul's going to make a fortune. Anthony Joshua makes a fortune. I'm worried for Jake Paul getting seriously hurt. You are putting an amateur boxer in a ring with a two-time...
Chael Sonnen brings a whole new angle to the conversation by questioning whether any of this is even real. He argues that the buzz around the rumored matchup exploded far too fast, long before any official word from promoters or governing bodies. To Sonnen, the public's reaction is a reflection of today's media culture, where rumors catch fire instantly and speculation is often mistaken for truth. He reminds everyone that Joshua has always stood for discipline, structure, and professionalism, and a sudden leap into a novelty fight doesn't match the reputation he's spent years building. Silent skepticism isn't aimed at the fighters themselves, but at the social landscape that turns every passing whisper into a worldwide discussion.
Done, right? Isn't that what we were all told? And I had reached out to Jake directly, but he didn't get back to me. I did get a response, but it was like, you know the response where somebody's like buying some time, or they just want to acknowledge, like they give you a receipt. I mean, I'm in receipt of your text message. They can give you an emoji or something like this, or sometimes there's even the automatic. I'm trying to remember what I got, but you can get like the automatic. I'll call you later. You know those? So even though I had said, hey, I'm looking for a confirmation of this fight, and he did respond, as I reflect back on that, it's like, well, he didn't respond confirming the fight. So who did confirm the fight? So I went to Helwani, and Helwani thought that it was confirmed, but he was a little lighter in the language than what I thought I remember hearing. And there's a number of boxing guys just saying, hey, that's not going to happen. And they had a few details, one of which was being Florida. And the Florida Commission would probably be open to something like this, particularly under the clause of exhibition, and then we'd all have to kind of hear, well, what are those rules and what are those stipulations? But that's reasonable to work with. But we haven't been able to get a confirmation from the Florida Commission, and now we're actually getting boxing guys on the inner circle. We're hearing from some British guys, from some fellow comrades to Joshua that said he wouldn't do that fight. He just wouldn't do that fight. That people would lose respect for him. That he has carried British boxing. This was one guy talking, but the guy said that Joshua has carried British boxing for 2 decades. And that while carrying British boxing on his back, if he was to go over and do a spoof fight against a YouTuber, now I don't look at Jake Paul that way. I look at him as a badass. I understand how greatly he is outmatched. I understand the lack of experience in comparison to Joshua. Believe me, I get it. But I don't dismiss him as a YouTuber, right? Look at him as a guy that went to the distance with...
Another fighter who knows the highs of victory and the sting of setbacks, Tyron Woodley, brings a more grounded take to the debate. He admits that confidence can be a dangerous weapon, and any fighter who truly believes in himself can shock the world. Woodley cautions that Joshua shouldn't brush off Paul just because of the differences in size, skill, or background. Yes, Joshua is the heavy favorite, but a fight is still a fight. Overlooking the chance of wild, unexpected moments can turn risky fast. Woodley's viewpoint stands as a quiet reminder that in combat sports, unpredictability is always lurking, no matter how lopsided things seem on paper.
I mean, to be honest, when a fighter has belief in themselves, I never took Jake lightly. A lot of guys like, oh, he a YouTuber, he a Disney kid, but he does a good job of putting the smoke and mirrors up. He doesn't have anything limiting him from training, nutrition, training partners, coaches, and when you believe in yourself, and you're an athlete, and you can put those hours into the gym, that's a dangerous person to go against. And you look at Anthony, he may be taking them lightly, When you have somebody that's smaller than you, that's more agile than you and moving around, we don't know how Anthony's going to deal with that fight. Of course, with the boxing, the skill and experience has got to go with Joshua. But Jake
look what AJ done to Francis Ngannou, right? I'll put that to you. Do you not see that happening the same way with Jake Paul?
I mean, anybody can get caught with a punch. I got caught with a punch. Francis got hit with some shit, to be honest. So we didn't see a full fight. We didn't see, an exchange. We didn't see like we saw with Tyson Fury, where he, lasted most of the fight. So it's hard to judge off of that one. And they're such different fighters and such.
Some analysts shift into a more technical lens, pointing to the major weight gap between Joshua and Paul. With such drastic differences in natural size, many experts suggest the fight should be held under exhibition rules for safety. But right now, it seems the plan is to present it as a full-fledged professional bout, with every official detail in place. These query conditions, as some commentators call them, mean the contract must spell out everything: weight limits, gloves, rounds, format, officiating, and all the terms needed to keep things fair. The idea of framing such a one-sided matchup as a truly serious fight has raised concerns among purists who feel certain standards should never be bent.
And I can't believe this is leaving my mouth. Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Jake Paul. Now, this isn't even an exhibition bout. It's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be in December. And Jake Paul, if Anthony Joshua loses to Jake Paul, then that will not make any sort of sense whatsoever. Because on an athletic level, an experience level, a skill level, Anthony Joshua is several levels above Jake Paul. So surely this is going to be an exhibition bout. Surely this is going to be... There's surely going to be some shenanigans here. Because if Jake Paul gets into a real boxing match with Anthony Joshua, he's going to get absolutely destroyed. Like, there's no point in me... Like, I don't even need to break it down. What do you want me to break down here? And this is an easy payday for Anthony Joshua. And you know what? Fair play to him. People are going to criticise Anthony Joshua for fighting Jake Paul, but if he's really going to be fighting Jake Paul, which I don't think he is, then, bro, he can do whatever he wants to him. Literally. But then he just imagine... Oh, it's just crazy to think about. Fair play to Jake Paul, though, if this is a real boxing match. If I see exhibition attached to this... we'll know it's a sham. However, if I see that this is a real fight...
Despite the backlash, Jake Paul supporters argue that he has been quietly earning his stripes. After beating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Paul showed, at least to his fans, that he can hold his own against opponents with genuine ring experience. Analysts note that he's chasing seasoned names because they offer real tests and real respect. And by calling out Joshua, he's reaching for the biggest moment of his boxing career. His path may be unconventional, but his followers insist he's taken enough risks to be viewed as more than just an entertainer.
It's about what Jake Paul does. And the reality is, there are two mega fights he's came very close to making in the last 12 months, and they weren't against Anthony Joshua or big motherfucking cruiserweights. They were against men smaller than him. Canelo Alvarez, which was fucking days away from being made, and Gervonta Tank Davis, who, if he hadn't have lost his last, or drawn his last fight rather, that fight would probably be made for this end of this year already. Both of them are mega money fights. Yes, they're much more skilled fighters than him, but he's got a big size advantage. You look at, a mega size advantage on Tank, even though Tank is, an amazing boxer. Canelo is looking older. He's probably thinking, fuck it. I'm in there with Canelo. Why the fuck not? It's calculated gambling, that. Yeah, you might still get your ass kicked, but at least you can have imagine a path to victory. And even if it is delusional, it's not Anthony Joshua delusional. The biggest fight for the most amount of money is his true goal. But when he talks about the world titles, it's more of a, why not? I mean, if I fucking get through that and I fucking still got my life intact, then why not roll the dice against a top guy? Badu Jack, for example, is a world champion. He is very over the hill. There's a fight I can imagine him maybe in a couple of years going, fuck it. If he's still champion, why not? But with the killers like Vidal Riley coming up and others...
Simon Jordan delivers one of the toughest pushbacks against the idea of Joshua even entertaining this fight. Known for his sharp, no-nonsense takes, Jordan insists that Joshua shouldn't step into anything that adds nothing to his legacy. To him, combat sports must uphold certain standards, and when a former heavyweight champion entertains a challenge from a YouTuber-turned-boxer, it sends the wrong message about the sport's competitive backbone. Jordan argues that money alone shouldn't steer these decisions, especially for someone whose career has already left a major mark on the United Kingdom's boxing history.
For a fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul in December. What does it tell us, Simon? Does it tell us more, as I said in the introduction, about the falling star of AJ or the rising one of Jake Paul?
It tells you that there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity. You've got a very talented YouTuber that's built himself into a massive influence with huge following, and you've got a former two-time champion of the world that operates at a very high level of engagement. Whether he's a high level of performer anymore is a different discussion. So it becomes about how much can this fight generate, how many eyes on the prize. I mean, I spoke to his very close friend Michael Jarman about this very fight about 3 or 4 months ago, and he was like, "What do you think?" I said, "What difference does it make? Oh, it would potentially jeopardize his legacy. His legacy's sealed. You cannot undo the fact. Whatever you think of Anthony Joshua,
It might
as
damage
a
it.
fighter, I don't think so. What it will do is increase his
Yeah.
bank balance. But I don't think. I think it didn't damage Muhammad Ali's reputation to go in with a sumo wrestler, did it?
No, but after when Joshua was at his peak, Simon, if I had said to you there and then, do you know what? Maybe in December 2025, Anthony Joshua will fight a YouTuber.
This is the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the world heavyweight championship twice. And he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment. And if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
Others highlight just how unusual Jake Paul's path has become. Before turning his attention to Joshua, he went after Francis Ngannou, a fighter whose raw power and size were unlike anything Paul had faced before. While he's chasing big-name opponents, the gap between his skills and those of the athletes he calls out remains glaring. Observers point out that Paul's habit of jumping between targets and ideas makes it unclear whether he'll follow through on anything he announces. That's why Eddie Hearn often treats Paul's words with caution. Ambitious as he may be, Jake's direction shifts constantly, shaped by mood, opportunity, or the chase for publicity.
It would be something unique. It would be something incredible. It's the same reason that I would be intrigued by a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event. And a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from like Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, like the weight different and everything, it make no sense.
It's a good point. I mean, obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need.
The conversation widens when former champion Tim Bradley steps in to comment on the whirlwind surrounding Paul's career moves. Bradley recalls how Paul's planned fight with Gervonta Davis collapsed, leaving broadcasters, sponsors, and promoters with serious financial hits. He uses this as a cautionary tale, showing why many in the industry take Paul's announcements with a grain of salt. When a fighter with such a massive online presence suddenly abandons confirmed deals, the ripples affect the entire business side of boxing. Bradley warns that the sport can't function smoothly if major plans keep collapsing without notice. Yet, from a strategic angle, some insiders suggest that even facing Jake Paul could offer Joshua a small, unexpected advantage.
You don't tank real quick. You gotta be the dumbest dude, in the history of boxing, bro. $40 million, dog, down the drain. You gotta be the dumbest dude I've ever seen in the history of boxing, bro. Seriously. I'm like, $40 million, bro. Wealth. Literally wealth, bro. Going down the drain. I don't understand it. I can't make the... I don't understand it. But I'll tell you this. You know, MVP promotions, whatever the hell y'all call it, most valuable promotions, shit, more like rookie promotions. Yeah, more like rookie promotions. You didn't know what you were dealing with. You had no clue. This has always been down Tank's alley, man. Now, let me just say one thing. You know, you innocent until proven guilty. Ain't no charges been pending on Tank at all. You know, but I'm just saying, this has always came up within the last few fights of Tank's career. Yeah, it has. And MVP, more like RP, rookie promotions, yeah, y'all should have had a backup plan. You should have had a backup fighter. Yup. You live and you learn. Oh, absolutely. You live and you learn. You should have had a plan B, just in case this man, Tank Davis, don't show up. Yeah. That's what you should have done. Now you're looking like idiots. You know, I heard through the...
Chris Algieri highlights that coming back after a break demands both rhythm and confidence. A high-profile, yet manageable, matchup could help Joshua rebuild his momentum. Facing someone well below his usual level might not elevate his legacy, but it offers a chance to fine-tune his instincts and reconnect with competitive mindset. Still, Algieri admits, the flashy, spectacle-driven nature of the event tends to overshadow any real athletic significance it might hold.
What do you mean? It's going to be a fight. What are we talking here? Like, it's going to be an exhibition? No, it's a fight. You're a heavyweight. You're calling out heavyweights. You're calling out a heavyweight. You're calling out Anthony Joshua, former world champion. You're calling him out on short notice. It's a fight. You're going to wear 10-ounce gloves and you're going to fight 10 rounds, and that's what it is. I don't understand any idea of anything else. Oh, it's going to be 8 twos. Is it going to be 15-ounce gloves? What the hell are we doing? This is boxing. You want to fight a real guy? You're fighting a real guy, which I am very respectful, and I respect the hell out of Jake Paul if he does step in the ring with Anthony Joshua. No matter what happens, kid's got balls of steel, and I applaud you.
Well, the reason I say we don't know yet because Jake Paul has fought in his last fight with Gervonta Davis was going to be an exhibition. They had to do that because of the weight difference. This is still a weight difference here. I mean, Anthony.
No, there's not. No, it's not.
That's a wrap for today's video. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.